All right, gonna go live in just a few moments here. Special show, 5K sub celebration. We already got some people in, so you know what? I'm not gonna waste anyone's time anymore. All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode 143 of the WMMA Report. Well, it's not so regular anymore, but show where we go over everything going on within the world of women's mixed martial arts. And tonight, special night, 5,000 subs celebration. Kept putting it off and putting it off for various reasons, but I think we're up to 5,023 now. But this is a celebration. This is a milestone I never thought I would reach. I never knew how big the channel would go, and it took a long time to get here because I just hit 5 years mark in back in December. I started goals or well, that was weird. The closest thing I had to a long-term goal was to I guess get monetized, get to that 1,000 sub mark, which is when you get monetized. Not because I expected to make money off this channel, and believe me, I don't make money off the channel. I've sunk so much into it that honestly, it's still an expensive hobby. So I never had like a real true long-term goal. I just been kind of like playing it as I go. But this tonight's a stream to celebrate not only the channel but the viewers as well. So I have a ton of besides the regular stuff we go over with, results, news, rankings, updates, and previews. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 8 discussion topics I want to talk about. Most of them aren't going to take very long, but I decided to start the stream earlier than I would normally start it because of the number of topics. But also tonight, if you have topics that you want to talk about, bring them up in the chat and we'll get to them at the end, because as much as this channel is about, the fighters and, promoting women's MMA, it's also about you, the viewers, as well. So I got a few people in the chat. Chaz Kim, how you doing? Says good evening, all. Arkillo Core, I've never seen you before. Good evening. That's a cool avatar. I know that's Arkillo. Oh, Arkillo is he was one of the Yellow Lanterns in Greenland. One of the Yellow Lanterns. And then Judy V. Good evening, Judy, my one and only moderator, if I remember correctly. So let's start where we always start with these shows. The weekend results, last weekend's results. You know what? I'm going to minimize myself. So last weekend, we had some good events. Starting off on Friday, we had LFA 152. Had 2 ladies bouts. One of them was just 2 people making their debut. I haven't even seen that one yet. But this one, I was keeping an eye on. It was a 130-pound catchweight bout where Diani Barbosa defeated Jessica Middleton via unanimous decision. Barbosa climbed to 5-2. Middleton fell to 5-7. A bit of a setup fight for Barbosa, but let me tell you something. I keep an eye on Diani Barbosa. I think she is going places. She did a great job in this fight last weekend. Controlled the fight almost the entire time. And third round really went hard for the finish. Now, she didn't get it, but she went hard for it, which is what I like to see. It's not, even if you can't get the finish, I want to see fighters that go for the finish. And I would not be surprised if we see Barbosa possibly in Contender Series later on. And with that attitude of going for the finish, I could definitely see her getting picked up if she wins a fight in the Contender Series. So does she normally fight flyweight or bantamweight? Let me check here. Normally, she started out bantamweight. Looks like she had one fight at flyweight. Moved down to flyweight when she got to LFA. Started out in bantamweight in Brazil, got to LFA, moved down to flyweight. But she probably fight at both. I mean, she didn't look small at 130 pounds. So, we know the bantamweight division needs fighters. So even if she doesn't get picked up at flyweight, they could sign her at bantamweight. Then on Saturday at Deep 112, we had the return of a certified women's MMA legend. Satoko Shinashi on the left-hand side there defeated Reina Kobayashi via decision. Shinashi climbed to 39-4. Kobayashi fell to 2-3. Shinashi turned 46 last week or the week before, and then came out on Saturday and put on a really good performance. Now, she didn't get a finish, and she is used to getting finishes. She's used to getting finishes, and she's used to getting them early. Kobayashi did really well defending the submission attacks from Shinashi, but she wasn't able to get any real good offense of her own going. Really awesome to see a certified legend return after she hadn't fought since 2019. Shinashi, she was coming off a TKO loss back in December 2019, so hadn't fought since then. Just turned 46. She's back. Really cool to see. And I've talked about her plenty of times on the channel before. I've done a retro fight review for her, and I also did a blast from the past video. So go check out that playlist if you want to learn more about Satoko Shinashi. Princess is her nickname. Then Saturday night, we had UFC 284 down in Australia. Loma Lookboonmee defeated Elise Reed via submission 44 seconds of the second round. Lookboonmee climbed to 7-3. Reed fell to 6-2. I'll tell you what, I don't know what the odds were on Loma Lookboonmee winning by sub, but anybody that would have put that as a prop bet definitely won some money. Let me see. On Tapology, everybody, 91% picked Lookboonmee to win, but like 87% were by decision, 6% by TKO, 2% by submission. So practically nobody would have actually expected Lookboonmee to win by submission because she's a Muay Thai fighter. She's not a submission. She's not a grappler. And the first round was really good. Judy V says Loma was minus 330. Yeah, to win, but not by sub. First round was good. There's some back and forth action. Lookboonmee was really winning the stand-up. I thought Reed had her moments in the stand-up, but she had a bloody nose, and her leg was messed up from low kicks. Reed really needs to learn how to check some low kicks. Then she got Loma down, or Loma tried to get her down. I can't remember the exact details. But Reed spent about the final minute and a half on Loma's back and had some good control and some ground and pound from there. Look, I'm not sure if it was enough to steal the round, but it was some good work. She got up, looked pretty confident, and then Loma took her down and got to her back in the second round and got the rear naked choke, which, whew. I kind of feel bad for Elise Reed a little bit because you do not want to be a striking specialist's first and only submission win. And pretty sure that is Loma's only submission win. Yeah, that's her only win by submission so far in 11 fights. Yeah, you don't want to be a fighter's first and only submission win if they're a striking specialist. Like when I think it was it Blenko got submitted by Cyborg. Bad look. For Reed to get submitted by Look Boon Me, bad look. Reed's stock took whatever stock Elise Reed had, and she didn't have a lot, but the stock that Elise Reed might have had coming into this fight, whatever she had, took a nosedive. Like, she's back to the penny stocks. That's how bad it is to get submitted like that by a striking specialist. I think she came out a little bit overconfident in the second round. And she paid for it. Unfortunately for her. But I'm gonna look for me. Now I think she has what, 1 loss or 2 losses in the UFC. Can't remember. But good on Loma. You know, she's undersized at strawweight, but she keeps improving and she's doing her best. So you love to see it. Oh, that's it. So that is it for the results. So let's get down. There's better. Let's get down into the news. I don't have a banner for it. Oh, well. I'm just going to read these off real quick here. Might discuss some of them a little bit. But there's a lot of fight announcements in the past week, which is mostly what my news sections are. So first up, at Fight World MMA 28 goes down March 11th, so next month, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They have a strawweight bout. Amber Brown taking on Celine Haga. I'll be honest, this is one of those fights where if you know both of these fighters, you do not want to see either of them lose. Amber Brown was set to make her return in LFA last year. And then fight week, tragedy struck. Her daughter, when it fell ill, went into a coma. And unfortunately, poor little girl didn't make it. And you feel bad for Amber. And but here she is, I didn't expect her to return this fast. I honestly did not expect Amber Brown to return this fast. But she is, and honestly, my heart goes out to her. No parent should ever have to bury their child. And then Celine Haga is the ultimate underdog in one of the ultimate underdogs, if not the ultimate underdog in women's MMA. She started her career. She was like 1-11 or something like that. Battled her way back, got a bunch of wins, still takes some losses. And let me see what her overall record is real quick. So her overall record right now is 14-18. She's trying to close in on evening out her record. And my heart goes out to her too, because she's a woman who absolutely loves this sport. And you can't be someone who doesn't love the sport if what was I going to say? Oh, nobody who loves the sport goes on as long of a losing streak as she does and keeps going and perseveres and fights back and starts winning if you don't love the sport. So I think there are very few people that love the sport as much as Celine Haga. So yeah, this is a fight. You know, I don't want to see either of these two ladies lose. It's kind of sucks to see them fight each other right now at this point in time. Then UFC has an event on March 25th. It's a fight night. They booked a strawweight bout. Na Liang taking on Brogan Walker. So Brogan Walker, Invicta veteran, and finalist on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter with the flatweights, moving back down to strawweight. Or she might be moving down to strawweight. Can't remember if she's fought at strawweight before or not. But this should be a good one. And then One Fight Night 8, which is also known as one on Amazon Prime. 8 goes down 3 on March 24th in Singapore. Booked an atomweight bout. Sahi Ham taking on Itsuki Arata. I have a video talking about it, but we're going to talk about this fight a little bit later in the stream, so hold off on that one. Then UFC has an event scheduled for May 13th. A bantamweight bout. Jessica Rose Clark taking on Tainara Lisboa. Lisboa is a newcomer to the UFC, supposedly a Muay Thai world champion. Take that for what you will. Should be an all right bout, though. Then UFC 287 goes down April 8th in Miami. Added a strawweight bout. Sam Hughes taking on UFC newcomer and LFA strawweight champ, or former LFA strawweight champ, Jacqueline Amarim. Amarim is currently, I believe, undefeated. Coming in, taking on Sam Hughes. Not going to be an easy fight for Amarim. I like Jacqueline Amarim. She is a BJJ whiz, but she was mostly given easy fights in LFA. I think Hughes is going to be one of the first fighters to really fight back against her. So we'll see, but I think that'll be a good one. Then U8 Warriors Africa 4 goes down. I guess that's next weekend, February 24th in Abu Dhabi. They booked a bantamweight bout. Nora Cronali coming in at 4-1, taking on Alice Ngom coming in at 2-2. This is one to keep an eye on. Nora Cronali just fought like 2 weeks ago in Hexagon. So here she is, like a month or less than a month later. She's going from France to Abu Dhabi to fight. I gotta love these fighters that stay active like that. I love to see it. Then PFL Europe announced their flyweight season participants. They have Matilda Carmona coming in at 4-2. Dakota Decheva coming in at 7-0. She's going to be the favorite. Greet Ekout coming in at 6-4-1. Is that Lizzie Gevers coming in at 2-0. Cornelia Holm coming in at 5-5. I'm very familiar with Holm. She's fought a lot for Octagon in the Czech Republic. Clara Resignola coming in at 3-3. Valentina Scatizzi coming in at 1-1. And then Marta Volacek coming in at 6-5. Not the best of records for a flyweight division, but being that it's PFL Europe, they were really restricted to European fighters. So I can't really get too mad at them. Then we've got like 1, 2, 3 Bellator event announcements here. So Bellator 293 goes down March 31st in Temecula, California. They've got 4 ladies bouts on this card. Featherweight, we have Kat Zingano taking on Leah McCourt. McCourt's going to be the highest ranked featherweight fighter that the currently number 1 ranked Kat Zingano has fought in Bellator. And I think McCourt's down at like 4 or 5. Excuse me. Strawweight, we have Maria Henderson coming in at 1-0, taking on Mackenzie Stiller, making her debut. Maria Henderson is lightweight Ben Henderson's wife. So if you're not familiar with Ben Henderson, he was WEC champ. He was UFC lightweight champ. Been in Bellator. Hasn't won the lightweight championship there, but he's been doing pretty good. Overall winning record. So he's, long time fighter. And his wife is coming into the sport. Then featherweight bout, Pam Sorensen coming in at 9-5, taking on Sarah Collins, undefeated at 3-0. So we got a featherweight bout there, another featherweight bout. And then we have a minus 120-pound catchweight bout. Randy Field coming in at 3-1, taking on Ashley Cummins coming in at 7-6. Should be familiar with Ashley Cummins. She fought in Invicta, I think all of her fights up until now, or if not all of them, certainly the vast majority. She was a 2-time atomweight title challenger. Maybe it was 1 time. Pretty sure 2-time though. Now she's moving all the way up to 120 pounds to take on Randy Field. That's Might be at a disadvantage there. Thank you for the super chat, NHJ. It says, here's a couple shekels. I will put those to good use. Goes to the whiskey fund. Then Bellator 294 goes down April 21st in Hawaii. So Bellator is having 2 events in 2 days in Hawaii, which has become a bit of a trend for them. And at 294 on April 21st, they have a flyweight title bout. Liz Carmouche taking on Deanna Bennett. Boring. And then the featherweight bout, Arlene Blencoe taking on Sarah McMahon. That's the fight to watch on that card. I'm telling you. That's the one to watch. Thanks, CJ. Bellator 295 goes down the next day, April 22nd. They have a flyweight bout. Elimele McFarland taking on Kana Watanabe. Should make for a fun grappling bout. And then Sumiko Inaba facing certainly her toughest test to date in Vida Ortega. That should be a banger of a bout. So I made a video on covering both of those events. If you haven't yet, please go check it out later. Good to see you in the chat. If you're not familiar with Sogo-Kaku, go subscribe to his channel. Also, go check out his blog, sogo-kaku.com. That's CJ. He's been on the channel before. And go check out his Deep Jewels 40 preview for this weekend as well. Very good. He had on a genuine Deep Jewels fighter, amateur fighter, Anouk. And then final bit of news for this week. Aries 14 goes down April 7th in Paris on UFC Fight Pass. They booked a bantamweight bout. Melissa Dixon coming in undefeated at 5-0. She's taking on Giselle Mojeda coming in at 12-5. If you haven't watched an Aries bout event yet and you have UFC Fight Pass, you don't know what you're missing. You got to check out an Aries event. So that's it for the news. So we're rolling right along here, which is good because the stream's gonna go for a while. So let's talk about rankings updates. So the big one, there's no real updates, but we got to check out the rankings anyway because this weekend we've got a big flyweight bout. We were supposed to get Tyler Santos at number 1 taking on Erin Blanchfield at number 10. Now, Santos had to bow out. She said her 2 cornermen couldn't get, their visas approved. And one of them is her husband. So she had to bow out of the fight. So on like a week's notice or less than a week's notice, number 3, Jessica Andrade steps in. I'll tell you what, Jessica Andrade will always have a fan in me because she is willing to take short notice fights. And she doesn't care that this is a high risk, low reward fight in Erin Blanchfield. She doesn't care. In fact, she actually sees this as saying, hey, if I win this bout, that's 2 in a row as flyweight. I'm going back down to strawweight, and they're going to have a hard time denying me a title shot. So I love Jessica Andrade. She is a throwback fighter. She will fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. Love Jessica Andrade. So we got number 3 taking on number 10. And Blanchfield knows how important this fight is as well. She knows that if she beats Andrade at number 3, she's got basically has a guaranteed title shot after that. We're actually going to talk about that in a little bit too. But that's an important bout going on. So that's your rankings updates for the week. By the way, I haven't mentioned it yet, but please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. So this weekend, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 events that I want to focus on. First up is going to be One Friday Fights 5. Now, One Championship has been putting on weekly events at Lumpini Stadium in Thailand. Their big focus is on the Muay Thai. They have like one event that's all Muay Thai bouts that only aired on TV in Thailand. But they also have their Friday fights, which are mostly stand-up, and then they sprinkle in a couple MMA bouts as well. And this week is the first time that the Friday fights event are featuring ladies MMA, and they're featuring 2 ladies MMA bouts. Yep. First bout I want to talk about is a newcomer to One Championship, Alexandra Savacheva, taking on Ziba Bano. Savacheva is coming in at 1-0. Bano coming in at 1-1 officially per Tapology. I don't know anything about Savacheva. Apparently, she has a Muay Thai background, so should be very fan-friendly, striker style. Bano, she has 1 win like 3 years ago, official win. And then she lost to Wonder Girl, Jarun Sak, via submission 8 months ago and hasn't fought since then. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't see anything special about Ziba Bano, but I don't know anything about Alexandra Savacheva either. So, yeah, on this one, your guess is as good as mine. But this is the bout I'm looking forward to on this card. This is actually the opening bout. At one atomweight class, which is 115 pounds, Chihiro Sawada taking on Sanaz Fayazmanesh. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too much. But Sawada is coming in at 3-0-1. Sanaz coming in at 1-0. I don't know anything about Sanaz. Apparently, her lone pro MMA bout that's recorded on Tapology came 4 years ago. They don't have her age listed. Sawada is 25 years old. She's coming in as the current Shudo atomweight champ, and she won the title by winning the last year's Infinity League tournament, which is a round robin tournament, which is pretty interesting, where everybody has to face everybody. So she's coming in with a lot of experience in the past year. And let's see. Out of her 3 wins, she's won a decision, submission due to rear naked choke, and then another decision. But if I remember correctly, and if CJ's still in the chat, he'll let me know. Sawada used to be on the national wrestling team for Japan. So really good wrestler. But this is the fight on this card that I'm most looking forward to. I'm taking Chihiro Sawada to win it. And that's early tomorrow. That's going to be like early tomorrow morning if you're in the U.S. on One Championship's YouTube channel. Also tomorrow on UFC Fight Pass, we have Aries 12 going down. We have one ladies bout at flyweight. Marconetto, I believe, is moving up in weight for this one. But Manuela Marconetto, the butcher's daughter, taking on Mona Pitt Tohi. Marconetto coming in at 3-2. Tohi coming in at 4-3. Both ladies coming in off of a loss. Preceded by a couple of wins. Not going to go too deep on the stats, but Marconetto just fought in Bellator 3 months ago on a European card. She lost to Kiara Penko in a bad decision. It was a bad decision. I don't know why. Like, I like Kiara Penko, but she did not deserve that decision in the Marconetto fight. I mean, it wasn't an absolute robbery. But if you're going to make an argument for a robbery in any fight, that's definitely it. Before that, she was on like a 3-fight win streak. Toey's coming in off of a loss in Hexagon 5 months ago to Samantha Jean-Francois. Before that, had a couple of wins in UAE Warriors and whatever Octo fight is. I'm going to go with Marconetto here. She's, I don't know, though. She is moving up in weight for this one. Whereas Tohei, let me see. Looks like both of them are moving up in weight for this one. Let me check. Yeah, both of them are moving up to flyweight for this one. I'm not 100% sure why, but maybe because Aries is looking for flyweight title challengers. Could be a good reason. I'm going to go with Marconetto here. She's been doing pretty well. Other than that loss to Penko, that should have gone her way. She's been doing really well. But that's on UFC Fight Pass tomorrow afternoon if you're in the US. Also tomorrow, it'll be in the evening in the US on Fight Pass. LFA 153 has one ladies bout. We have Rachel Martinez taking on Alandria Brown. Martinez coming in at 1-0. Brown coming in at 2-1. Martinez made her pro debut about 2.5 months ago. Won via TKO. Brown coming in off of a win over Jasmine Pouncey 6 months ago. Before that, she had a TKO loss to Sydney Trio a year and 2 months ago. So that was in 2021. I thought that was last year. Maybe it was. Let me check. I gotta check the date on that one because that was a great fight. Okay, so the fight against Sydney Trio, Landria Brown had a fight against Sydney Trio. That was in November of 2021. Glad to know because that was a great fight, man. Action, non-stop action from bell to bell. If you haven't seen that one, you gotta go check that one out on Fight Pass for under LFA because that was for LFA as well. But Martinez versus Brown, this should be a good one. I don't have a pick for this one. I think it could go either way. Martinez is getting a lot of hype right now. Comes from a good camp. Looks like she has a good amateur record before her pro debut. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. She was 5-1 as an amateur. Won her debut via finish in the first round. So it looks like she could be good. Brown is an action fighter, like nonstop. This could go either way, so I don't really have a pick for this one, but definitely, this is a fight to check out tomorrow night. So then we move to Saturday. Or wait, before that, we got a couple chats. Yeah, CJ says correct. So Chihiro Sawada, who's fighting on 1 tomorrow morning, was on the national team in Japan for wrestling. Oh, plus her brother fought for 1. Now I got to look him up later. Thank you, CJ. So Deep Jewels 40 goes down Saturday morning in the U.S., 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Jeez, why is it so early? Let's see here. So they have 1 amateur bout and was it like 7 or 1, 2, 9 pro bouts, 9 pro fights. Wow. I'm not going to go into super details on these fights either. Just going to stick to the basics. But let's see. First bout is going to be at flyweight. Mana Akagi taking on Haruka Suzuki. Mana's coming in at 0-1. Boss coming in at making her pro debut. Not really any other details on Tapology. I'm going to go with Mana to win this one. Although I like the nickname Boss. Like if we were going by nicknames, I'd go for Boss over Mana. Let's see. Then the next bout we have, this is an open weight bout, which is very interesting. Po Chan Z coming in against Super Benkei, Mayumi Elki. Po Chan Z is coming in at 0-3 as a pro. Super Benkei coming in at 6-10, hasn't fought since 2019. And then before that, she hadn't fought since 2012. Super Benkei is also 43 years old. Now, I'm not sure how old Po Chan Z is. She's somewhere in her 30s, from what I can remember from CJ's stream. But this is an attempt to give Po Chan Z a win. I think I said this when I broke down the card originally for this one. Po Chan Z is like an idol in Japan, which is like a model / singer / actress / whatever. The term idol covers a lot of things, but she's known as a chubby idol. So I think this is like Deep Jewel's attempt to go after, we'll call them the chubby chasers. Because otherwise, I don't know what the appeal for Po Chan Z is. I will say this though. When you watch her, she tries. Like she's not going out there and just going, and like she's not going out there just to get a paycheck. Like she's trying to get a win. And you can see it on her face after all of her losses too. Like she just breaks down after each loss. So I feel for her. She's trying. Like she's really trying. We'll see if she can get the win here. If not, probably the end for her. Or Po Chan Z, I guess. I don't know. Then we have a microweight bout. I like microweight bouts. You're watching like some of the smallest women on earth fighting each other. Kyoka taking on Koyuki. Kyoka coming in at 1-3. Koyuki making her pro debut. Now, according to Topology, Koyuki has one amateur bout. She lost by submission. Kyoka is coming in off of her first pro win over Kimika Kawaguchi. Before that, she was 0-3. Before this event, Kyoka was the smallest woman MMA fighter as a pro at 4 feet 9 inches, 145 centimeters. I believe with this event, she's tied because there's another lady later on who's also 4'9". I'm gonna go with Kyoka here. She's got the experience, whereas Koyuki only has one amateur bout, and even that's a loss. Thank you, Easy E. Welcome to the chat again. Then we have what is this? Bantamweight or flyweight? Bantamweight bout. Is it Tae Murayama, TA, taking on Juicy Sayaka Hishinuma. T coming in at 2-3. Juicy coming in at 1-2. Both ladies really need a win here. TA started off at 2-0. Now she's lost her last 3 to King Reina via submission. She got armbarred by King Reina, armbarred by Rin Nakai, and then lost a decision to Aoi Kuriyama. That was 4 months ago in Deep Jewels. Whereas Juicy started off with a pro win over Po Chan Z, and then has lost her last 2 bouts. I'm going to go with TA to win this one. Haven't really seen much to be impressed with by Juicy. Whereas with TA, at least, aside from the Kuriyama loss, her 2 wins were against fighters with much more experience and supposed to be much more skill. So I'm going to go with TA to win this one. Then we have, I believe this is at... Where's it at? Oh, at strawweight, Eru Takebayashi taking on Hitomi Taniyama. Topology has these bouts all out of order. Takebayashi coming in at 2-3. Taniyama coming in at 1-0. Taniyama made her pro debut against Mana, who's also fighting on the card about 2.5 months ago. Takebayashi riding a 3-fight losing streak into this fight after going 2-0 to start. She's lost to Ira Koga, Murari Suda, and then Kate Oyama. So, but her last loss was a split decision, so she's doing better. I think I'm going to go with Eru Takebayashi on this one. Unless Taniyama gets her down. If Taniyama gets her down, Takebayashi's going to be in for a long night. She's just not very good on the ground, but she is a decent striker. So if she keeps it on the feet, she can win this. So I'm going to go with Eru Takebayashi here in the green. Then we have another microweight bout. Momoko Yamazaki taking on Akari Kamise. Momoko coming in at 3-3. Kamise making her pro debut. Let's look at her amateur record. She's 3-4 overall as an amateur. She won her last 2 bouts, though, in the amateurs. And let's see here. Yamazaki's coming in off of a loss to Mizuki Furuse 5 months ago, but had 2 wins before that. I don't know anything about Kamise because I'll be honest, I don't pay attention to the amateur fights that Deep Jules puts on. I really don't. Although I will salute them for having their own program where they, groom amateur fighters into becoming pros. But although it looks like Kamise mostly fought in Shudo before this. Like she has 1 fight for Deep, but mostly fought in Shudo, which is interesting. Anyway, Kamise is the fighter who has now tied Kyoka for the smallest active MMA fighter at 4'9", 145 centimeters, or at least the smallest female, I should say. I'm going to go with Momoko just because I'm more familiar with her, although she is an absolute brawler in style. So we'll see if Kamise can, use her technique. What technique she has against Momoko. Then we have an atomweight bout. Hikaru Ano, minus 49 kilogram bout. So if this were Ryzen, they would call it super atomweight, but Deep Jules doesn't acknowledge super atomweight officially. So it's a minus 49 kilogram, 108 pound bout. Hikaru Ano taking on Kate Lotus Oyama. Ano coming in at 8-6. Lotus coming in at 3-4. Now, Hikaru Ano has lost her last 2 bouts. Dropped a decision to Saori Oshima, and then got armbarred by Murari Suda. That was 9 months ago. Lotus is coming in off of a win over Eru Takebayashi via split decision 4 months ago. Before that, though, she had 2 straight losses to Mika Nagano and Mika Arai. All 3 of those bouts were at strawweight. Kate Lotus, who started at flyweight, continues her move down in weight. She might eventually make it to atomweight. Hikaru Ano, this is like do or die for her. Like she does not want to lose to someone with an upside down record. at this point in her career. She still has dreams of fighting in Ryzen. But if she loses to Kate Lotus, she can kiss those chances goodbye. I'm not sure who to pick on this one. If Carolina is one of those fighters, it's like, man, can you trust her to win? Not really. But is Kate Lotus necessarily a better fighter than her? Again, not really. So this is kind of a pick'em fight. So, pick whoever you want. Then we have the co-main event, Hime Namiko Kawabata taking on Mahi Fukuda at strawweight. Hime coming in at 4-1. Mahi coming in at 1-0. Mahi coming in off of a unanimous decision win over Mika Arai, who had like 12 fights at the time. That was 2 months ago. Hime coming in off of 2 straight wins over Sushima, 108 pounds. And Yuko Kiryu, she absolutely destroyed Yuko Kiryu. I mean, obliterated her in a TKO loss or TKO win. That was 3 months ago. If you haven't seen that fight, it's somewhere on YouTube. Whew. Hime destroyed her. I'm going to go with Hime to win this. She has the experience, probably the bigger fighter, should be, and is pretty athletic, which takes you very far in women's MMA. You hate to say it in 2023, but if you're an athlete, that's going to take you far in the women's divisions, especially in Japan. So we're going to go with Hime there to win. Then we have the main event, and honestly, the only fighter on this card that really, truly could headline. We have Rin Nakai taking on Aoi Kuriyama. Let's see here. Nakai coming in at 25-2-1. Kuriyama coming in at 4-1. If you want to throw your money away, put some money on Kuriyama. If you want to throw your money away. Otherwise, put it on Rin Nakai. Rin Nakai, no. She has too much experience and she's too good compared to Kuriyama. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kuriyama is a fun fighter to watch. But this is, in all honesty, a mismatch. So go for Rin Nakai. Then on Saturday, now, looks like you can watch this on Rumble. Not sure if it'll be pay-per-view or pay to watch, but this should be a fun bout. United Fight League 1 coming from Arizona has a 120-pound catchweight bout. Hannah Guy taking on Melissa Odessa Parker. Now, Guy is both a Bellator and Invicta veteran, and also she was on the last season of The Ultimate Fighter. Melissa Odessa Parker came to MMA from boxing. And it's unfortunate, too. She hasn't fought in boxing in a while because of some contract problems with the small-time promoter she was signed to. But fun fighter to watch and hits hard, too. But this should be a fun fight. Guy coming in at 4-2. Bella Bestia, Odessa Parker coming in at 3-3. Now, both ladies coming up with some losses. Hannah Guy lost to Caitlin Neal in Invicta 4.5 months ago. Parker coming in off of 2 straight losses. She lost to Isis Verbeek via decision 6 months ago, and then about 2.5 months ago, lost a decision to Elise Pone. I'll give Parker some credit, though. Moved up in weight to take on the last-minute opponent, Pone, and was really outsized in that bout. But that was still a good fight. Guy's definitely the younger fighter here, 27-36 for Parker. I'll be honest, though. I'm taking Parker to win this one. She absolutely, positively should be able to put Hannah Guy away on the feet. Now, on the ground, anyone's guess. You might remember Hannah Guy is best known for being the girl to beat Valerie Lareda in Bellator, mostly by taking her down and outworking her on the ground. But so if she can get Parker on the ground, should be able to do it. But I like Parker's chances on the feet here, so I'm going with Melissa Parker. Then finally, this weekend, Saturday night, we have UFC Fight Night coming from the Apex in Las Vegas. Before I go on, just a friendly reminder, the chat is open. Also, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. But the first ladies bout of the evening is going to go down in the bantamweight division. We have Lena Landsberg coming in at 10-7, taking on Mayra Bueno Silva, coming in at 9-2-1. Let's see. The elbow queen Landsberg, she's lost 3 straight to Sarah McMahon, Penny Kianzad, and then most recently to Carol Hosa 3 months ago. Bueno Silva's 2-0 since moving up to bantamweight from flyweight, beating Yunan Wu and then Stephanie Ager. 9-year age difference here. 31 for Bueno Silva to 40 for Lena Landsberg. I'm going with Mayra Bueno Silva to win this one. Besides being younger, I just see her as being an overall better fighter than Landsberg. Now, granted, she hasn't beaten the best of competition at bantamweight, but then again, neither is Landsberg either. So I'm taking Mayra Bueno Silva to win this one. Then we have the main event. I don't know why that picture shrunk so much. Oh, well. At flyweight, Jessica Andrade, who is currently number 3, taking on Erin Blanchfield, coming in at 10-1. Bate Estaca, Andrade coming in at 24-9. Blanchfield, cold-blooded, coming in at 10-1. I said she's ranked at 10-1. She's ranked at number 10. And her record's 10-1. So Andrade coming in of 3 straight wins, all of them at flyweight, over Cynthia Calvillo, Amanda Lemos. Amanda Lemos was at strawweight. And then she came back up to flyweight. Absolutely beat the crap out of Lauren Murphy. And that was less than a month ago. Blanchfield undefeated in the UFC. 4 wins. 2 by decision. Most recent 2 of the wins are by submission over J.J. Aldrich and then Molly McCann. I'll tell you what, I was really looking forward to Tyler Santos versus Blanchfield, but I'll take Andrade versus Blanchfield too. This is still a big test for Blanchfield, just slightly different. Other than Andrade taking this fight on short notice, man, it's hard to pick against her. It really is. I mean, Blanchfield, her striking has improved a lot since she first started, and she was really just a jiu-jitsu specialist. Her striking has come a long way, but man, I don't know if it's good enough to beat Andrade. On the ground, if she can get on top of Andrade, she can definitely win. But Andrade has sneaky submissions too. Like she has that guillotine win against Calderwood. That was sneaky. She got Lemos with that standing arm triangle. Andrade's ground game, very underrated. I mean, it's going to be hard to pick Blanchfield in this. And I want her. Like, this is another one of those fights where, like, I don't want either fighter to lose. I don't want Andrade to lose because I want to see her get a title shot again. Certainly at strawweight. Flyweight, not so much, but definitely at strawweight. And a win here sets her back. Or a loss here sets her back, even if it is up a weight class. And I don't want to see Blanchfield, take a hard loss. I don't mind her taking a loss necessarily, but Andrade is one of those fighters where she's just going to beat the crap out of you. Like, you don't get an easy loss against Jessica Andrade. You lose to Jessica Andrade, it's hard. Like, you're going to be hurting. Who do I pick? Who do I pick here? We'll go with Andrade. Yeah, we'll go with Andrade. So that is it for the weekend preview. So now let's move on to some discussion topics. I've got 8 lined up. Also, if you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, if you have something you want discussed, let me know in the chat and we'll get to it. But I have 8 discussion topics I want to talk about. This first one's going to take a while because I want to talk about, I know it's been a while, it's been like a month already, but I want to talk about some of the fallout from Invicta 51 because, man, this was a really good event. And I did a live stream fight companion for it, but I never talked about it afterwards. But I want to talk about some of the fallout from it. So let me bring Tapology up real quick here so I can see the results. And then we'll talk about some of them. Now, I'm not going to talk about like every fight from the event, but there are a few that I definitely want to talk about. Before we go on, Easy E says going to be a banger. I think Andrade might be too much for Blanchfield. Yeah, I think that's having someone go from rank number 10 to fighting someone in the top 5. That's a big leap. And most fighters aren't ready for it. I'm not sure if Blanchfield is or not. Anyway, moving on to Invicta 51. So first fight I want to talk about was the opening bout. Fatima Klein defeated Laura Gallardo via decision. Klein climbed to 3-0. Gallardo fell at 4-2. I'll tell you what. I was hoping for a grappling bout because I was worried that if this stayed on the feet, it would be a horrible kickboxing bout. This was a fun fight on the feet. I'll admit when I am wrong. And I was wrong when I said if this stayed on the feet, it was going to be bad. No, this was a fun fight. Klein continues to climb the ladder as it is. Stayed undefeated at 3-0. Gallardo is a tough opponent. And I don't think there was anything Gallardo offered that Klein couldn't better. I am very impressed by the growth of Fatima Klein in just a few fights. Now, and her striking looked so much improved. Granted, we haven't seen much of Fatima Klein striking because she was always so fast to take her opponents down and hunt for the sub. Whew. She looked good on the feet in this bout. So very impressed by Fatima Klein. Then we had an atomweight bout where Alessandra Lily Fajeda defeated Marissa Messer Valencia via split decision. Fajeda climbed to 5-2. Valencia fell to 5-2. This was one of those bouts where like it started out fun, or it seemed like it was gonna be fun at the start. And then one of the fighters just drags it down. Fajeda came out firing away with the punches on Valencia and And Valencia basically just decided from then on, like, I'm not messing with her on the outside. I'm not going to give her the range. And really just tried to, like, kind of wall install her way to a win and just drag this fight out. And really all it did was drag down everybody's energy levels. It kind of sad to see. Thankfully, Fajeda came out with a win, because I hate when fighters do that and they just try to just drag a fight out and drag it down, and all it really does is suck the life out of the room. Hopefully, Valencia does better than that in the future. So I'm not going to be too hard on her. But Lily Fajeda, exciting fighter. Looking forward to seeing what more she brings. Then at bantamweight, Serena De Jesus took on Olga Rubin, with Rubin winning via unanimous decision. She climbed to 8-3. De Jesus fell to 5-3. Kind of sucks for Serena De Jesus, because honestly, I thought she should have been in the main event, getting a shot at the bantamweight title. I thought she had earned it, and took on a more experienced opponent in Olga Rubin. And Rubin showed some big holes, or exposed some big holes in De Jesus' game. I mean, hey, De Jesus, she was swinging and banging, whereas Rubin was the tactician in this bout, and the technician in this bout, the more technical striker. Rubin was trying to just really bang away and just throw in punches and bunches. It was a fun fight. This was probably fight of the night, at least in my eyes. That was a fun fight. De Jesus, it's weird because her nickname is a Southpaw Outlaw, and she does fight in a Southpaw stance. I wonder if she's really a natural left-hander, though. And hear me out on this. Because even though she has her left hand back cocked like a typical southpaw, she leads with her left hand a lot. It almost seems like she wants to jab with it. So I wonder if it really made me wonder, like, is she a natural southpaw, or does she like choose to fight that way? Because I know, like, years ago, I wrestled. I'm right-handed, and when I wrestled in a right-hand stance. But when I tried boxing for a little bit, I also tended to box in a southpaw stance, which as a wrestler, that's a right-hand stance. But boxing is a southpaw stance. So I boxed as a southpaw, amateur. So that stance just came naturally to me because of wrestling. But De Jesus seems to want to, like, lead with her left hand, even though it should be her power hand. So it just, like, threw me off watching her fight. And I hadn't noticed that before watching her fight, but it really threw me off. But Rubin gets the win. Maybe she's next for the title. I mean, she just came off of a loss to Tanisha Tennant, but we'll get to it in a second. Tennant lost the title, so we'll see. Easy E says, Olga Rubin was at Bellator at one point, right? You are right, and she did fight Julia Budd for the featherweight title and lost. And I think she lost one fight after that and was cut from Bellator. Then in the co-main event for the vacant flyweight championship, Ketlin Souza defeated Christina Williams via unanimous decision. Souza climbed to 13-3. Williams fell to 6-4. Man, I'm not going to lie. I sponsored Williams in this fight, and I would still sponsor her again. I was all in on her, cheering for her the entire time. I wanted to cheer for her, and this fight hit me hard. Like, this loss hit me hard. Hats off to Souza. I'll tell you what, her speed was just really hard for Williams to deal with. Souza was the much faster fighter everywhere. And Williams just couldn't adapt to the speed and failed to adapt throughout the fight. And Souza would get Williams down, and Williams had a hard time getting off of the ground, getting back to her feet where you could tell she wanted to be. Just an all-around bad night for Christina Williams, which sucks. As someone who was cheering for her, it really sucked. But Souza looked great in the fight. UFC ready? I'd like to see her get one more title, get a title defense under her belt. I mean, yeah, she's 13-3, but you look at her record pre-Invicta, and it not a pretty looking record. So I'd like to see her get a title defense under her belt and see how she does there against someone, and then we'll discuss, if she's UFC ready or not. But the win against Williams was a good one for Christina Williams, back to the drawing board. Then in the main event, we had Bantamweight Championship, Tanisha Tennant defending against Talita Bernardo, and Bernardo won via unanimous decision. Bernardo climbed to 10-4, Tennant fell to 5-2. Tennant's ground game or lack of ground game, I should say, really got exposed in this fight. Now, granted, Bernardo didn't waste any time trying to strike with Tennant, and I don't blame her. Bernardo knows that her expertise is on the ground. She knows Tennant's expertise is on the feet. And Bernardo did everything she had to do to get the fight to the ground and really just controlled from there. Wasn't a bad fight. Just wasn't particularly exciting. I definitely would rate the flyweight co-main event a better fight. Tennant, of course, needs to work on her takedown defense. Now, I will say this. Bernardo was going for mostly unusual takedown tactics, like tactics that are hard to really defend against. Like, I know she dove on the ankle once, or she would shoot for the leg and then swing around to the back and take her down. So, like, she wasn't just typical going for, like, the single leg, double leg, typical takedown that are easy to sprawl on. Or she wasn't going for the typical takedown against the fence that it's easier to defend against. Like, Bernardo would kind of, like, shoot, and then she'd get denied off of the shoot, but then she'd manage to bring Tennant down anyway. And that's the kind of stuff it's like, that takes hours and hours and hours. I mean, just hundreds of hours to really adapt to. But it's also hard to predict. So I'm not going to go too hard on Tennant. And honestly, she had some she actually had some exciting moments in this bout. Where, like, when she was trying to deny Bernardo from taking her down, she was, like, pounding away on Bernardo. And I was like, whoa. She's actually putting some effort into those strikes and, like, trying to hurt Bernardo, which was a shock. Because usually, if you see Tennant manage to hurt an opponent, she backs off. So that was a nice effort to see from Talita Bernardo, which was, really different. And not used to seeing that. So I got to give her some credit there. It was nice to see. But Bernardo is now the Invicta FC champion. Now, is she ever going to get back to the UFC? We'll see. I mean, I think Tennant's a good win. She also has a win over Lucia Pudilova, who is already back in the UFC. Out of her last 4 fights, she has 2 wins by submission, 2 wins by decision. She might make her way back to the UFC. I mean, Lord knows, UFC needs some strong bantamweights. So we'll see. We shall see. All right. So that's it for Invicta 51 follow-up. Let's get into some slightly more current events here. So I want to talk about Amanda Nunes' situation at bantamweight. because Nunes seems to want to sit out for a bit here. So the UFC offered Nunes Irene Aldana, and Nunes turned it down. Turned down a bantamweight title defense against, Irene Aldana. Now, of course, we have, Juliana Pena. The only fight she wants is a trilogy fight against Amanda Nunes. And Amanda Nunes, she's not interested in that either. And I don't blame her. I don't think anyone's interested in that trilogy fight between Nunes and Pena right now. I mean, why would you be? The second fight, and I've talked about this before. I've talked about Pena's delusions before. The second fight was absolute domination, really, on Amanda Nunes' part. She won 50-44 on two judges' cards and 50-44 on two judges' cards and 50-43 on the third judge's cards. It was a blowout, an absolute blowout. So I don't blame Amanda Nunes for not wanting to fight Pena again. I don't want to see that fight either. I would like to see her fight Aldana. What Nunes instead did was say, have Aldana and Pena fight each other. I don't like that kind of attitude from a champion. Now, if she were to come out and say, listen, Aldana only has 2 wins right now, and that loss to Holly Holm is still fresh in a lot of people's memories, because let's be honest, a lot of that loss to Holm really is fresh in a lot of people's memories when it comes to Aldana. So I can kind of see that justification. But at the same time, it's like, you just want one of those two to eliminate each other, so you only have one contender instead of 2 lined up. And it just kind of seems like Nunes is kind of like, some people might want to say she's ducking. I don't think this is a duck necessarily. I don't think she's ducking. I don't think Nunes is afraid of anybody. Certainly not at bantamweight. And certainly, I'm not even going to bring up at featherweight, because let's be honest, that's a joke division. It's a meme. At this point, UFC women's featherweight is like a meme division. But it is kind of lazy. It's not a duck, but it's lazy. You haven't fought since July. So it's February already. So March, April, May, June, July. So you got 5 months until it's been a year until you fight. So it's already been 7 months since you last fought. You going to take a fight or what? Or are you really going to sit out a year? So now, because of Nunes basically just wanting to sit on her butt, stay at home, be a mom, and not defend her belt, they're now discussing, and I don't think this fight has been finalized yet. Let me check. Now the UFC is looking at, now it hasn't been confirmed yet. Hasn't been finalized. Now the UFC is looking at Aldana versus Pennington, which is a rematch nobody's asking for. Aldana fought Pennington back in 2019, lost a split decision to her. This is a rematch that nobody's asking for. That fight was not fun. It wasn't an exciting fight. It was a boring fight. So it seems like rather than getting a title shot off of two exciting finish wins, a knockout against Yana Kunitskaya, and then a knockout win via that incredible and hilarious up kick to the liver against Macy Chasson, which honestly, I think you get 2 straight wins and you're a top 5 fighter, they should be giving you a title shot at bantamweight. Discussing bantamweight. You should be getting a title shot. And instead of getting a earned title shot against Nunes, they're giving Pennington, Aldana a rematch against Pennington, someone who already beat her. Now, Pennington, she's on what? I think a 5-fight win streak. Yeah, a 5-fight win streak dating all the way back to 2020. She gets a win against Aldana. It's going to be hard to deny her because she's had 6 straight wins. So, I mean, that would be a good guess. Pennington offered nothing for Nunes back when they fought in May of 2018. But off of 6 straight wins, it'd be hard to deny her a title shot. But again, we're talking about a rematch that nobody's asking for. Nunes, don't be lazy. Take a freaking title defense. Fight Aldana. Or fight Pennington. Fight Pennington now. But I'd rather see the Aldana fight. And Pena. Take a fight. You're not going to get Nunes. She's not interested in it. Nobody else is interested in it. Nobody's interested in that trilogy fight but you. Take a fight. Get a win. Then go for the trilogy fight. So that's the overall situation at UFC bantamweight right now. I've been sitting on this for weeks. I've been wanting to talk about it, and I keep scheduling lives and then never get to go live. So we got 11 people watching. Who we got in the chat right now? Judy V says, even though it is on March 15th, your opinion on Invicta 52, Machado versus McCormack. Not thrilled in seeing Machado run around the octagon as she did in Invicta 50 and win the belt. Yeah, nobody's thrilled about that, Judy. I don't think. So they announced the full card for Invicta 52. I have to make a video on that. If I don't get to it tonight, which it's looking like I might not get to, I'm going to try to record it tomorrow. If I get to it tomorrow or tonight, then I'll publish it tomorrow morning. But if not, I'll try to get to it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not thrilled about watching Machado as a main event. Easy E says Nunes is bored and has no challenges right now. But then again, who knows if she's too comfortable again. She certainly didn't take the first Pena fight seriously. You're darn right. And look what happened. Yeah, she did not take that Pena fight seriously. This shirt is itching the heck out of my back. But she definitely took the rematch seriously, and we saw what happened. Yeah, she might be bored, but I think it's also just like, I'm just going to sit back and watch them fight and see who gets to face that. I think she's comfortable as champ and kind of wants to enjoy just sitting back, relaxing, and watching everybody else fight. I mean, what are they going to do? Offer a featherweight title bout in the meantime? Yeah, right. Judy B says, my opinion, neither one will beat Nunes. Then again, as Easy E said, Nunes bored and too comfortable. I hope that's not the situation. Because I like watching Nunes when she's focused and hungry. Friendly reminder again, if you're new to the channel, please hit that like button. Gets the show going through the algorithm, draws more people to it. And then also, if you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Moving along, let's talk some One Championship for a bit. So first bit of One Championship news. I haven't talked about this yet. I think I made a video on it. But Stamp Fairtex coming to the USA. So One Championship is making their debut, the U.S. debut, on Friday, May 10th in Denver, Colorado. Or it's like in a suburb of Denver. And who has tickets to the bout? This guy. That's right, I'm going. I already got my vacation scheduled. I'm going to be watching this one live. Going to watch the Stamp Dance come to the U.S. live in the arena. She's taking on Elisa Anderson. The number one fighter taking on an unranked fighter. Now, granted, One Championship's rankings only go down to 5. And Anderson is coming in off of a win, which helps. But a lot of people are not too excited about this bout. They see it as an easy win for Stamp. Now, from a promoter's perspective, I get it. The fight's in the U.S. And Anderson is the only, well, she's not the only, but she's one of very few American women in One Championship. The only other one I can think of right now off the top of my head is Angela Lee. And we'll get to that in a minute. We'll talk about Lee in a minute. So if you want to really promote Stamp in the U.S., have her fight an American. Because listen, there are fans out there. There are people that will come to the show or watch the show. They don't know Anderson. They don't know Stamp. But they're going to see Anderson's American. And they're going to see the foreign fighter possibly beat the American. And Stamp's going to come out and she's going to dance her way into the arena. Probably might even dance between rounds and after the fight. And beats the American fighter. People are going to like that. It's going to be fun. I'm not a big fan of the Stamp dance. I think it's kind of cringy. But I guess I'm in the minority on that. So I am excited to see Stamp fight in the U.S. This will be my second time watching Elise Anderson fight in person. Now, I bought a ticket. I haven't applied for press credentials. I might try anyway. Although I did that ticket was expensive. But I'm looking forward to this one. I'm not going to lie. I know a lot of people are like, this is a weak matchup, but I like it. I think Anderson can test Stamp on the ground. On the feet, not so much, but definitely on the ground. And also in One Championship news, they have rebooked Sahi Ham versus Itsuki Hirata. I have discussed this one before as well. This is going to go down at One Fight Night or One on Prime Video 8, March 24th. Again, we have a ranked fighter taking on an unranked fighter. So Ham is at number 2, taking on unranked Hirata. And of course, the big discussion surrounding this fight is, will Hirata make weight and will she make hydration? And some people are even saying, in my comments, that One Championship will just fix it so that she makes it this time. I'm not saying that. But hopefully this fight goes through this time. I want to see this fight. I think Ham wins it. I still think Ham wins it. But I do want to see it. I think it should be a fun fight. And I'll be watching it live. Or not in person live, but I'll be watching it on Amazon Prime in the U.S. Colostrum in the chat says, congrats on bro on a 5K. Well, thank you, Colostrum. And he has Andrade by stoppage. So now we talked about a couple of matchups from One Championship. Let's talk about the state of One's atomweight division. Because this division is kind of in a sad state right now. So you got the top 5 plus the champ. So the champ we all know what happened with her. Her sister, her younger sister, Victoria, is gone, passed away day after Christmas. Really, absolute tragedy. Like, my heart goes out to the Lee family as someone who had to bury their sibling. I know exactly what Angela and Christian are going through. And that's another one of those tragic stories where, a parent should not have to bury their child. That should never have to happen. So, Angela, we have to admit, and even one CEO, Chatri Sityo has discussed, like, he's thought about it, and he had to admit that we might never see Angela Lee fight again. We honestly might never see her fight again. Who knows? I mean, that's the kind of thing you never really recover from, like a sudden death in the family. Again, take it from me. A family member dies suddenly, someone that close to you, you don't recover from it, especially when it's that sudden like that. And with the rumor swirling around, and if the most talked about rumor is true, I wouldn't blame Angela if she steps back and doesn't fight again after that. I mean, she's made plenty of money from one championship, and she also comes from a wealthy family. She could easily move on, go to college, join the family real estate business, because apparently that's what the Lees do aside from martial arts. They're in the real estate business. She could move on from her life completely from here. So right now, she's still the champ, but we have no idea what's going to happen with her in the future. So then you look at the top 5. You've got the number 1 fighter fighting someone unranked. You got the number 2 fighter, Ham Sahi, again, fighting someone unranked. These two should be fighting each other right now. You don't know what's going to happen with Angela. You don't know if she's even going to fight again. Make an interim championship, okay? Stamp and Ham should be fighting each other for an interim belt at this point, because Angela hasn't defended her belt since, let me look it up here real quick. I know it was last year in the spring. She defended her title in March of last year at 1X against Stamp. Fought once after that, but up at the 1 strawweight division, 125 pounds. So we're about to hit a year with no title fight in this division. Ham's fighting next month. Stamp's fighting in May. But why aren't they fighting each other? They should be fighting each other for an interim title. And then if Angela decides she's never coming back, then you promote whoever is the champion to full champ status. I mean, look, I'm not a huge Angela Lee fan, but I hope she comes back. But in the meantime, you've got to prepare for the worst. You hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Make an interim title. If Stamp wins against Elise in May and Ham wins against Hirata next month in March, then that's the fight to make. Make that interim title fight. In the meantime, you have Denise Sambawanga at number 3. She's without an opponent right now. Then at number 4, Aliona Rasohina. She's pregnant. Congrats to her. That'll be your second kid. But she's out for who knows how long. Meanwhile, Rasohina hasn't fought since what, 2021? She hasn't fought since the second Stamp Fairtex fight, and that was in September of 2021. Might be time to remove her from the rankings there. I'm just saying, she hasn't fought since 2021. Coming up on a year and a half, and she's not going to be returning anytime soon. Remove her from the rankings. Promote someone else. Then you got number 5, Tiffany Teo. She just moved into the division. Beat up Ritu Phogat. Destroyed Ritu Phogat. Honestly, demolished her en route to a submission. But she doesn't have a fight lined up right now either. So the division right now really lacks direction. And I don't think One Championship knows what they're doing as far as direction goes. And I could go on and on about that. I mean, right now, they only have one big event per month, and that's the ones that are airing on Prime Video in the US and Canada. And then other than that, they're focused on their weekly Muay Thai fights at Lumpini Stadium in Thailand. And then they're having their one Friday fights, which are before that, also at Lumpini in Thailand. But they're having like the MMA fights on those cards are like 1 or 2 usually. 3 at the absolute most. So those are still very striker heavy bouts. And One Championship, they went from having 2 events a month last year down to 1 big event per month. No numbered events this year and none scheduled anytime coming up. So who knows what One Championship's doing right now. They seem to be in like a really big transition phase. And it seems like they're so focused on those Lumpini events because they're getting guaranteed money from the government to put on those events every week that it almost seems like their big events are almost like an afterthought. Which I don't blame them. They need money. One Championship needs money, and those Lumpini events are guaranteed money. So, yeah, one atomweight right now is in horrendous shape, unfortunately. And it's sad to see. But we do have Ham versus Hirata and Stamp versus Anderson to look forward to. Chihiro Sawada making her debut tomorrow morning. So look forward to that one. Yeah. So let's go to the chat before we move on. Easy E says exactly. Stamp and Ham should be the fight. I understand Lee's situation, but she can't be allowed to hold the division up. Well, she held up the division for years. I mean, with COVID and then she got pregnant. They already allowed her to hold up the division. Vegan Crane in the chat. First time in the chat, if I remember correctly. Welcome. Says Christian and Angela really got hurt their last fights. Did Christian get hurt in his last fight? I can't remember. Yeah, Angela got hurt pretty good. Wonder what's up with Sion Jinnan's Adam debut. Yeah, we'll have to see. Because if she moves down, she moves right into that top 5, really, with a win. And then, yeah, Easy E, I agree. Seems like one wants to be a Muay Thai organization lately. Which, I mean, officially they are. They are an official Muay Thai promoter in Thailand at Lumpini Stadium with official sanctioning by the government, which I think the government owns Lumpini, or the army does. All right, so moving on. There is a show on Netflix. It's a Korean contest show called Physical 100. And this show is, I'll tell you what, it's a good show. I've watched all the episodes up to now. Tuesday will be the final episode gets released. You got to watch it. It is an amazing show. It is #1 on Netflix right now. And not only are there some MMA fighters featured, there's a women's MMA fighter featured. Korean fighter Yeji Lee is in the show. She's an atomweight fighter. And you'll see in the show, if you watch it, and it should be available everywhere on Netflix. She's one of the smallest people on the show. And I won't give away spoilers. I won't tell you how far she gets. But watch the show. You'll definitely see her. You'll catch her. But yeah, watch the show. Support the MMA fighters in the show. Yoshihiro Akiyama, aka Sexy Yama, he's in the show. He's honestly, you watch the show and you realize, like, oh, a lot of these people at least either know each other personally or by reputation. Akiyama, or Sexy Yama, walks in the first episode and everybody just turns and the shock on their face is just like, whoa, like he's on the show. Sexy Yama, his Korean name is Chu Sung Hoon. He is a certified celebrity in Korea. I mean, you see this, you watch the show and it's full of bodybuilders, fitness competitors, athletes, national team members, influencers, like social media influencers, like people that are really well known in their fields. Sexy Yama walks in, and meanwhile, everybody is in there, like most of them are in their athletic gear. Sexy Yama walks in with a green, like a lime green suit, sunglasses on, and he just struts in, and everybody just like, whoa, he's here. I cannot believe it. Like, it's hilarious. It's awesome to see. And he's not the only MMA fighter. So there's Akiyama, there's Yeji Lee. Yeji is the only female MMA fighter. But she's not the only female like combat sports athlete. There are 5 other women's combat sports athletes in the show besides her. So 6 total. So definitely keep an eye out for this. If you haven't seen Physical 100 yet, you've got to watch this show. It is so good. So good. And watch it with the subtitles. Don't watch it with the dubs. Watch it in the original Korean with the English subtitles. It is a good show. And keep an eye out for Yeji. Let's see. Judy V says Chatry should hold on giving 10K, 50K to fighters after wins. No, I don't. I want to see fighters get paid, so keep the bonuses up. Easy E says, have you ever seen the show Warrior? Great show as well. They are filming the 3rd season now. No, I haven't seen that one yet. I'll look out for it. Marcus Mustard, welcome to the chat. Says, what's up, fight fans? Also says 5K subs in the house. Yes. Celebrating 5K subs tonight. By the way, just a friendly reminder, if you have any topics that you want discussed, let me know in the chat. Guru the Pig, you look new, so welcome to the chat. Says, if you had to bet, will Blanchfield get her face rearranged against Andrade like Murphy, or will the ref step in before that happens? That's a good question. Blanchfield seems tough. Is she Murphy tough? I don't know. Lauren Murphy is tough in a way that very few fighters are. And that's that recovering addict tough. Which Murphy really is. She is a recovering addict. Very few people are as tough as recovering addicts. So I don't know if Blanchfield's that tough that she can just keep on going like that or not. So I would bet on standing TKO more than I would Blanchfield getting her face completely rearranged. Judy V says Sexy is up there in age, 47. Yes, he is up there in age. However, he was not the oldest competitor on the show. There is a female fitness competitor on the show who is like 52, I think. Darn good looking woman for 52 as well. Great shape. Marcus Mustard says every finish in the UFC should be a bonus. Judy B says, I meant if one is down cash. Yeah, well, I don't know if one is down on cash, but they lose money every year in spite of revenue increasing. So Marcus says, I researched the UFC Fight Pass. I need to order. Oh, yeah. If you don't have, yeah. I think if you're a diehard MMA fan, you should get Fight Pass. $10 a month to try it out. Yep. And Marcus says, watch Murph fight some heavy shots. Yeah, she ate some hard shots. And yeah, it was pretty one way. All right, so moving on. What's number 5? Woo! So moving away from MMA for a second. Man, but going back to one championship, Anissa Mexen, not happy with one championship right now. I'm going to pull up her Instagram. But we all know that she pulled out of her fight, her mixed rules bout back in January. Allegedly, she was heavy. That's what Stamp was saying, or that's what Stamp's team was saying. Anissa said, no, I had some family problems that I had to deal with. But she's since released another statement on Instagram. And I'm going to pull it over here for everyone to see. Give me 1 second here. So there it is. We're going to swipe for English. Oh, wait, hold on. Video. Oh, wait, I hit the wrong button. It was a long post in French and then a long explanation in English. I'm going to maximize this here. It's still hard to read. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter. See if I can find a version that's going to be easier to read. All right. Nope. No luck. So I'm going to try to read this here. You know what? I'll pull it up on my phone so I can read it more easily. If you can read that on the screen, though, congratulations. You have better eyes than I do. All right. She said, following my post, I would like to share with you the second reason on the cancellation of my fight against Stamp. I wanted to keep all the for myself to avoid the drama and get a title shot on February 25th, but it will never happen, and I have to accept it. As usual, I was in real great shape for this fight and obviously on weight, just like I always have been for each of my fights. On Wednesday morning, the day before the weigh-in, I learned from an interview that it was a no contest fight, which means without a KO or choke, no decision could have been taken. I was shocked. So the one made a huge mistake in the contract and in their communication. I would never have agreed to fight without a decision. If I wanted to make a career in a circus, I would have done so a while ago. So She's going hard in the paint here on One Championship. We tried to work out an arrangement with the matchmakers so the fight could go ahead, but once again, they looked down on us, disrespected us, and didn't want to make any compromise. We were told nonsense like, how do you want us to determine a winner? Anyway, Anissa is coming to win by KO, etc. Since the situation has been blocked for a while, and given the lack of respect with which the one has treated, obviously this must have gone through like Google Translate, I simply decided to leave. 3 years of disrespect, this was the last straw. To my surprise, Chatri called us, apologized on behalf of his team. For the first time in 3 years, I could finally tell him my feelings. 3 years for 3 fights on lead cards, which are the prelims, with fights without real interest for me. 3 years I've been waiting for a belt. 3 years that my status of world champion is not respected. He listened to me and told me he would make me fight more frequently, and finally an opportunity for the title on February 25th. He was aware of the situation, but preferred to announce that I was unwell to clear his name and not take responsibility for my absence at the conference. The day after Chatri told us that Stamp didn't want to fight for me anymore, to fight me anymore, so we proposed him to take anyone in atomweight or strawweight so that he could keep his word and finally offer me a chance for the title I've been coveting for 3 years. But today, no answer. I have 125 fights for 120 victories, 35 by KO. I have 3 victories at 1. Who can claim this belt more than me? I love what I do. I am a real enthusiast, and I have always given everything for my sport and my performance. But today, I can't claim that I'm a professional boxer. I can't claim that my status is respected. I have been unhappy since my signature. I cried a lot because of them, because boxing is so much more than a passion. It's my life. I've been more than patient, but when respect is not at the table, we have to leave it. So that's Anissa Mexon's word on One Championship. I got to be honest. I respect her decision. I feel like one has been disrespecting her as well. It's the same situation that honestly Sahi Ham is in. They sign these well-known world champions from outside of One Championship, and they don't know what to do with them once they get them there. And they keep them away from title shots and only offer them fights sporadically. Ham's been in One Championship since 2020. She signed with them early 2020. And she's only had, 2 fights with them so far? And it's 2023. Granted, she, refused to fight with Hirata because of the missed weight. But yeah, she's about to make her 3rd fight for one since early 2020. And it's February 2023. Mexon has been signed with them for a while and only has 3 fights, none of them for a title. And if any fighters should have been given immediate title shots coming into One Championship, it's Ham and Mexon, especially Mexon. Mexon, arguably even more than Ham. She only has 2-3 losses and over 120 fights? Come on. Now, I don't know what the pay structure was in Mexon's contract, but I have a feeling that she might be on a show win pay structure with One Championship. Just the way she words it. Oh, actually, here it is. It's actually says here. I missed it when I was reading it. My contract was clear. A check for the fight. So she was on a show plus win type of contract. It says my contract was clear. A check for the fight, a check for the victory, and a check for a possible KO. So either they weren't clear in their contract for this mixed rules bout, which I kind of understand. How do you judge a decision for mixed rules bout? Because it was 2 rounds kickboxing and 2 rounds MMA. Kind of hard to judge. Like, unless you judge every round by 10-point must, which One Championship doesn't do their MMA rounds like that. They could. They easily could. But again, it's also, then it's a 4-round fight. So it makes it easier to have a draw in a 4-round fight with even rounds. But unless One Championship really failed to mention that initially, or they just didn't word it properly, yeah, they were kind of screwing Mixon out of money if she were to win, or if it were to go to a decision, and there was no decision. It was declared a draw or no contest. Because to deny a win would be to deny her money if she were to technically, in everyone's eyes, win the fight. So they were really screwing her out of money by doing that. So yeah, a check for the fight. So she'd get paid to show. But if her check is based, if her fights are entirely based on, her contract is entirely based on getting extra money to win or extra money for a finish, she was getting effed, basically. She was getting screwed out of money by taking that mixed rules bout. Now, maybe she should have read her contract more clear. Maybe One Championship should have worded it more clearly. But again, with her constantly calling for title shots and not getting them, and she definitely deserved title shots, I understand why this could have been the last straw. Like, I get it. And One Championship has been less than fair to plenty of fighters in the past. So I understand Mexon being upset. Hom doesn't seem upset with One Championship. I have a feeling she gets paid on a monthly stipend. Because their word has gone out that there are fighters in One Championship that get paid like monthly stipends, and then they get paid a little bit less per fight, but they get paid like a monthly stipend, almost like a salary. So maybe Hom's contract is different than Mexon's. But I don't blame Mexon for being upset here. If what she is saying is true, I don't blame her. So let's go on. Before we go to the next topic, let's get onto the chats again. Man, I missed a lot of chats here. Marcus Mustard, Prime Video, good for MMA. I agree. Very good. I'd like to see more fights get on big streaming platforms like Prime instead of like the sports-centric ones. Gooey the Pig says, would the ref be told by the UFC in advance to stop the fight to prevent a decapitation? Because people don't like seeing. No, it's no. The UFC doesn't actually control what the referees do. It's on the athletic commissions. Easy E says, Gooey the Pig, if they didn't do that for Paige Van Zandt, they certainly won't do it for anyone else. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Marcus, that's crazy. Murphy beat her addiction. Everyone out there, keep trucking. Definitely. Vegan says Chatri is Thai. He indeed is. Guru, would there be much more uproar from the public UFC fans if Blanchfield gets beaten up by Andrade the same way Murphy did, only because of her much better looks? I don't know, man. There's a pretty big upcry for Lauren Murphy. A lot of people were really upset at the referee and her corner for not stopping that fight. Judy V, perhaps if it is left up to the ref, if she dies, oh well. It's going to depend on the referee for sure. Guru says at Easy E, don't ever recall Van Zandt getting smashed up like Murphy did. She got beat up pretty bad a couple fights. Marcus says Dober versus Patty. Let's go Dober. MMA Art, welcome to the chat. says, I think Aaron versus Andrade fight will be like Andrade versus Calvillo fight. So MMA Art is foreseeing a fast finish for Andrade. Interesting. Easy E says, Guru the Pig, bro, her whole face was painted in blood once. Yeah, she had a really bad cut. Talking about Paige Van Zandt, she had a really bad cut in the Rose fight. MMA Art says, or Andrade versus Gadelia. Yeah, she beat up on Gadelia pretty bad too. And yeah, that was a cut when she fought Rose. Guru says, asking Easy E, what are you referring to? I remember cutting the Rose fight, but that's much different from getting your face disfigured for 15 minutes. Yeah, but it was pretty bad, dude. It was a lot of blood. And like Easy E says, she was also getting beat up in that Rose fight. Vegan Crane says Mexen is simply too dangerous. Yeah, especially for the homegrown fighters in one. When is Mexen versus Stamp? It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. After Stamp was told Mexen was pulling out of the fight, Stamp declared that she was never going to fight Mexen. So they were supposed to fight for an interim kickboxing title. That fight's off. And now Stamp is fighting Anderson in the U.S. So those two are likely never, ever going to fight each other. Honestly, Anissa Mexen, her career might be done now. Because unless one championship releases her, she seems like she never wants to fight for one again. And unless one championship renews her contract or releases her from her contract, she's going to be stuck. Guru says, I mean, Andrade could have killed Murphy in that fight, and there's very little pushback. She wasn't going to kill her. Come on. Vegan Crane says Chatry doesn't want Stamp killed. Easy E says to Guru, I mean, it's a fight, and quite frankly, the MMA fan base as a whole loves brutality like that. Think about the demographic. They don't care. And Guru says, if offered, would you ever have a one-off superior genetically gifted child with Megan Anderson if it guaranteed you a long-reigning, retiring, undefeated future world champion UFC fighter? I don't see how having a child with Megan Anderson would guarantee me that. I mean, Anderson's not exactly an athletically gifted fighter. And I'm certainly not a natural athlete. And honestly, I'm not that attracted to Megan Anderson. I mean, she's not bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like she's a good-looking fighter. The ink, too much ink for me. At least it would probably guarantee that I'd have a kid taller than me, which would be nice. Guru says, since Suga is already 0-2 against Petter, I'm not going to talk about Sean O'Malley. Like, please keep like topics you want to discuss to the women's fights. I have zero desire to talk about the men on this channel, particularly Sean O'Malley. Moving along, what is next? Oh, let me stop that screen. I got to bring up the window again. Crap. Let me bring this full screen again. All right. So let's talk Combate Global for a second. So this was posted by Mike Afromowitz, who I forget what his official position is. I think he's like vice president of Combate Global. Posted this a week or so ago. It says on Instagram, it says, our new set being built for a new year of 30 Combate Global live television events. We are looking forward to having a live audience with us this year in Miami. So Combate Global was keeping like the COVID lockdown steps officially way past, honestly, what they needed to, all the way to the end of last year. Now, they haven't picked up events so far this year, but it looks like they're going to return in March next month, which will be great. I like watching Combate. They're fun fights. I'll be honest. While it'll be nice to have an audience in the studio, I'm disappointed. I wanted Combate to go on the road. I want them to have bigger shows. I want them to have more fights per event. I don't want them to be on the road. I want people to want them somewhere else besides the TV studio. I mean, them being in Miami all the time, I mean, I think they'll be able to sell out tickets. But again, it's going to be like one championship almost never leaving Singapore. It's like the local fight fans are probably going to get bored. Whereas if you go on the road again, have events in places where you already have fighters that are from that area, and you get bigger crowds, it makes for more exciting events. Like having crowd in the studio is going to be nice, but man, nothing beats live events on the road as far as environment goes. So this is a step in the right direction, but it's still a little bit disappointing. Now, I asked Mike in the comments, does this mean media can attend? And he said yes. So I'll tell you what, I'm tempted to apply for media credentials to go to a Combate event in Miami. I think that'd be fun. It'd be hard, though, because they never announce who's fighting until Wednesday of fight week. So hopefully they'll start announcing who's fighting further out ahead of time, because there are some fighters that I would like to go see fight in person on Combate. La Loba, Maritza Sanchez, of course, Melissa Amaya. Who's the Mexican girl at strawweight? The girl from Lobo Gym. She trains with Alexa Grasso. Can't think of her name right now. A few atom weights I'd like to go see fight, so I'm definitely down to go to cover Combate in person. I haven't been to a live MMA event to cover it in a long time, since 2018. So I'm definitely down to go. But I just wish they were going on the road again. Plus, Miami's expensive. But yeah, I'm excited for Combate's return anyway. Next to last topic I want to discuss. Let me see. Get into the chat here. Guru asks, what percentage of UFC fighters do you think are on gear? Designer steroids exist that are undetectable from USADA. Doesn't seem like anyone ever gets busted in a world where PDs are rampant. The majority. I would say the majority of them are on gear. Listen, in professional sports, where your pay depends on your performance, you're better off assuming that all your favorite fighters are on stuff. That way, if or when they get caught, you're less disappointed. I'm not going to accuse particular fighters of being on gear without evidence, but yeah, that's a good way to go through sports. Just assume most of them are on it, or assume your favorite fighter is on it. That way, when they get busted, you won't be disappointed. If you're against athletes being on gear, that's the mindset to have. And if you're not against fighters being on gear, then who cares? but is 5 a.m.er. Marcus says, Loma looked at me last week, though. What a fighter. Yeah, I talked about that at during the weekend results at the beginning of the stream. And yeah, she did great over the weekend. Excellent finish. I'm not going to read that one. Easy E says, completely unrelated, but Eric Bischoff once said that if you remain in a studio and never take your show on the road, it will never grow. And that's the problem he had when he hired in TNA Wrestling. That's a great point. Yeah, TNA Wrestling, what they call it, Impact was their weekly show. They stayed in the studio all the time at Universal Studios or somewhere down there in Florida. And the shows never grew. You have to go on the road and have more people experience your shows in person if you want to grow. And as that relates to Combate Global, I'm not sure that the Univision, the network, the Spanish language network, they own a major stake in Combate. I don't think they care if Combate grows because they're still doing good numbers. Granted, they're on a television network that a lot of people leave on their TV 24/7. So it's hard not to get good ratings on there, especially when most of your events happen after soccer games. So Univision might not care if they actually grow as a show, which is sad because I thought Combate was set to really do good things when they were on the road and going back and forth between Mexico and the U.S. They probably could have gone down and had an event in Chile or somewhere, or Colombia. They could go on the road and do really well, I think. 30 events from March on. It's almost every week. Yeah, Combate puts on events almost weekly. They're usually like 5 fights per show. Easy E says producers never want to leave the soundstage. Yeah, that's a problem. You get used to that. It's so easy because everything is controllable. So you don't have to leave the studio. Why leave the studio? You go on the road. You have to deal with internet connections. You have to deal with the satellite feed to the networks. You got to deal with different commissions. All kinds of things can go wrong when you're on the road. And it gets so easy to stay in that studio. But you never, but yeah, you get stuck. You plateau. Marcus says, do it. Chuck, you got this. Get the credentials. Yeah, I'll try for Combate. We'll see. I mean, I'd like to go to Miami, but man, it's so expensive down there. And it's a party environment. And I don't need to be in a party environment anymore. Going to try for one championship, even though I bought that ticket. I'll apply for them. Probably filled up. I'm still holding out hope, though, that Invicta holds an event in Colorado the same week as one championship. And I'll definitely apply then because I've been to Invicta 3 times as credentialed. Some PEDs are actually legal because they simply aren't on the banned list. But everyone is taking something. Think about how much abuse their body is taking. You can't do that naturally. Yeah, there are some things that just aren't on the banned list, or there are things that like you can get away with in small doses. For a long time, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, wasn't on the banned list. Dan Anderson was on it. He was prescribed TRT and was taking it and was keeping it to within, I think he was staying within reasonable levels. Although a lot of people were complaining about it. The person that really ruined TRT for everyone was Vitor Belfort, because he might have been on TRT, but he was also roided to hell and back. And so his testosterone levels were like through the freaking roof. And then I think he got legit busted for steroids. So after that, though, because of his testosterone levels being so ridiculously high, they were like, well, no more TRT. I think Nevada was the first to ban it, or maybe California, and then everyone followed suit, which I understand. Like, listen, if you're an older athlete, your testosterone levels are going to lower naturally. And to stay competitive, you need that testosterone. But at the same time, it's like, is that really fair to the younger athletes who are going on naturally? Not really. So Marcus said the steroid topic is a whole stream by itself. You could go on for hours talking about PEDs. And Marcus says the women get roided up too. Yeah, Chris Cyborg does or has been busted in the past, among other shady actions. Amanda Lemos has been busted. That's why there's a 2-year gap between her first and second UFC fight. Who else? Estela Nunez got busted when first joining the UFC. Jessica Penny got busted. Not because they actually ever found anything for sure in her samples, but because USADA keeps that passport where they look at your numbers over time. They noticed that her numbers were really weird, and they suspended her for that. So Jessica Penny got busted, and I like Jessica Penny. Who else? There's a couple fighters, like particularly from Brazil. And make of that what you will. I'm not going to get into it right now. But there were a few ladies from Brazil who got busted before they could even fight in the UFC. And 1 or 2 of them never got to fight because of that. Easy E says, even Karina Dawn back in the day was juicing. Yeah, she was. Marcus says, crazy. The science is not so advanced. With money, it's everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, money makes the world go round. It's going to make it, the more money you have, the harder it's going to be to test positive or to get caught. What about today's One Championship Thai 5 WMA fights? I talked about them earlier. And Marcus says, not just MMA, but all, yeah. Pro sports, period, are rife with it. Anyway, I want to talk about this quote here from Erin Blanchfield, talking about her upcoming fight. I like what she's saying here. She says, I know what winning this fight means. If fighting for a title is next, I'll do that. If they want me to fight someone else next, I'll do that too. I'm just focusing on winning this fight Saturday. And I know whatever comes next will be good. I like this attitude. Because it shows me like she's focused on this fight on Saturday before anything else, which is great. You always got to stay focused on the fight ahead of you. But it also tells me that she's not afraid if she gets offered a title fight next, which is what I want to see. This is what you want to see. This is the exact opposite of Manon the Mallard Fiora, who beat the number 1 contender and says, I want to fight the number 5 fighter, Alexa Grasso. Or Grasso, who said, like, well, if they want me to fight the title, yeah, but I'd rather take another 5-round fight first. Not as bad as Manon, but not what you want to hear either. What Blanchfield is saying is what you want to hear from fighters. This is what you want to hear. Saying, yeah, I'm focused on this fight, but if this win means a title shot, then I'll take it. If not, then I'll take that fight too. But whatever they want me to do, I'm good with it. I like this. She's not afraid to take that step up. I mean, Blanchfield wasn't prepping for Jessica Andrade. She was prepping for Tyler Santos. Now she's stepping in and facing a totally different kind of fighter with totally different type of threats. She could have turned it down. She could have been like, no, I don't need to take this fight. Let me know when Santos can get into the U.S. and we'll fight. She stepped up anyway and said, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, I might not get fight number 1. I'm fighting number 3, but I'm taking it. And no matter what. If it means a title shot next, then I'm taking it. If it doesn't mean a title shot, I'll take that fight too. This is what I want to see, fight the type of attitude I want to see from fighters. Love it. Thank you, Aaron Blanchfield. Marcus says, I can't figure out this one. Cold-blooded versus the pile driver. Yep. Bate Estaca, pile driver. Easy E, a true Jersey gal. I love it. And this is coming from a New York City guy. Yeah, New York, New Jersey. I think she trains in New York City. I think she's I forget who she trains jiu-jitsu under, but I know whoever she trains under is a Henzo guy. Marcus with the thumbs ups. Thumbs up. So last thing I want to talk about tonight. Women's MMA going into 2023. I'll admit, overall, this first quarter wasn't exactly matchmaking wise. And the first quarter's not done yet. We're only halfway through February. But it wasn't like all the greatest fights so far. Didn't have a whole lot of fights in the UFC, particularly UFC wise. First quarter's not the greatest coming into the first quarter of 2023. But I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be a good year for the ladies overall. I know, you got Nunes trying to sit out and watch the title contenders knock themselves off. We might not see Zahn fight until like halfway through the year. A lot of people wanted to see Fiora versus Shevchenko, getting Grasso instead. I think that's a great fight, and that's next month. So that's in the first quarter. But I'll tell you what, I'm optimistic going into the rest of 2023. I think the first quarter has been underrated. We had a good Invicta event in January. We've got a decent Invicta event coming up next month. We've got Deep Jewels this weekend. Deep Jewels staying active, keeping things alive and going. In Japan, we just had a couple weeks ago with Saori Oshima fought outside Japan for the first time. So we had a cross-promotion WMMA fight. Black Combat versus Deep was great. We just had a certified legend return in Satoko Shinashi this past weekend. I'm looking forward to what 2023 brings for the ladies. I have an optimistic view about women's MMA this year. Oh, what else? We got one championship coming to the U.S. with Stamp Fairtex. The Stamp Dance coming to the U.S. for the first time. Looking forward to that. I think this year we're going to have Combate Global. I think we'll crown some women's champions. They better, but I'm confident that they will. So that's going to be great. And they usually have a women's fight every week. So if you got 5 fights per night, Combate, that means a ladies fight every week. 30 fights, that's good. You've got the European shows, Aries, Hexagon, doing great. Bellator announced an event in Temecula next month with 4 ladies fights. Then they got 2 events in April with 4 fights spread out between them. UFC is really announcing more and more ladies fights this year. The announcements are coming in. I think this is going to be a damn good year. Now, it's going to be a damn good year for the women's divisions. Might not see some of the title fights that we want to see, at least right away, but they're going to happen. But guess what? There's more to the sport than just title fights. And you already know my attitude on this, having watched this channel. There is so much more to women's MMA than just the UFC. So much more than just the UFC. I mean, how many different events did we talk about tonight that were outside of the UFC? We talked about Deep. We talked about Deep Jewels. We talked about One Championship. We talked about Bellator. What else? Let me pull my book back open here. Aries, PFL. PFL has expanded their women's divisions. They got featherweight now, flyweight. So PFL is expanding for the ladies. UAE Warriors, I feel, is a really underrated promotion. What else? Aries, Hexagon. So you got 2 MMA promotions in France that put on ladies bouts and have ladies championships. France is only just starting, really, in MMA. And I think once they get going, between their kickboxing and their judo, I think France has powerhouse potential in MMA. It's going to take a while, but they've got powerhouse potential. There's so much going on. I gotta look. I got a lot of notes from shows that I didn't end up putting on live streams. Holy crap. There's so many fights going on coming up. Not only in this month, but next month and the upcoming months. Next weekend, we have PFL challengers, going to be flyweights. So 2-3 weeks ago, we had the featherweights. Next weekend, we got the flyweights. Unfortunately, Chelsea Hackett, who I was looking forward to seeing, had to pull out. Announced that today. Couldn't get a visa into the U.S. for some reason. But yeah, it's going to be a good year for the ladies, everybody, and I'm looking forward to it. I never did do my annual awards, but I think I have everyone decided, like all the winners decided on that. So I'm going to try to put that together sometime. Maybe I'll do that Sunday. We'll see. But yeah, 2023 is going to be a good year for the ladies. Don't be down just because, we don't have a strawweight title fight coming up anytime soon. We don't have a bantamweight title fight coming up soon in the UFC. So what? We got a flyweight title fight coming up in Bellator. We've got an Invicta title fight coming up next month. There's so many good fights that are going to be happening soon. Just because they're not all in the top 5 of the UFC doesn't mean there's nothing going on. And I tell people all the time, you got to expand. If you're truly a diehard women's MMA, if you're truly a diehard MMA fan, period, let alone just the women, but period, MMA overall, you got to look beyond just the UFC. There's so much going on out there. So much. And they're expanding all the time. The women's divisions are growing and they're becoming more popular. Promoters know that they got to have some lady bouts on the fight now, on the fight card. It draws people in. It gets people excited. So, yeah, 2023. It's going to be a good year for the ladies overall, I think. All right, so let's get into the final chats. By the way, if you haven't yet, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Easy E, we have to pretend to not like Jersey to keep up appearances in the Big Apple. Yeah, I don't blame you. I do not blame you. Judy V's a native New Yorker. Well, I'm Pennsylvanian, so. Easy E, when is Kayla Harrison actually free? Who knows? I know she has one more fight on the contract, but could Nunes possibly be sitting out hoping she can fight Kayla? It's a possibility. That's a possibility. I hadn't thought about that one. That's a good possibility. Easy E says, hell yeah, Judy V, New York City in the house. Judy V says it can be a thought if UFC wants her. Yeah, talking about Kayla. Marcus says, I'm pulling for all the women in promotion. Let's do it. That's the attitude, Marcus. That's the right attitude. And Combate, yeah, I think there's a lot of things I don't like about Combate. But the fights are fun. Are they super high level? No. Are they always the best in matchmaking? No. And that's something that can easily be improved upon, is the matchmaking. But do they at least try to make fun fights? Oh, definitely. Definitely. Combate events are fun. Easy E. PFL is gunning for that number 2 spot. Matter of fact, I think they might already be better than Bellator now. It's close. There are definitely people out there that think PFL is better than Bellator. The Brother Man, what's up? Judy B says, Easy E, slamming and banging, open the door. And Judy V asking the Brother Man where he's been. Marcus says, Bellator had a good one with the ladies. Close fight. And the Brother Man says 2023 is going to be a hell of a year. I agree. And Easy E says, yes, MMA is worldwide. I agree. I'll tell you what, though, it's hard to keep up. Like, that's why when I take those gaps where I don't upload anything for a couple weeks and I don't go live for a while, it's because I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. I'm burned out because I'm keeping track of so many fights. Like, I don't blame like the MMA channels on YouTube, and not talking about WMMA, but overall, I don't necessarily blame them for only talking about the UFC, but I kind of feel like they're doing the viewers a bit of a disservice by not helping them broaden their horizons. But again, I also can't blame them because there's a whole lot with the UFC just to follow. Vegan says, Hyunjin Nan versus Akamura is the funniest fight ever. Yeah, that was... Yeah. Miura had no chance. All right. So that is it for tonight. Wow, we went 2.5 hours almost. So let's get ready to shut her down. So we hit 5K subscribers last month. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I have a subscriber goal for this year. I'm not going to say it out loud. It's kind of petty on my part, but it's there, and I want to hit it. So I'm going to keep working, and I'm behind right now. Going into the new year, I'm behind. So I got to work harder. I'm going to try to do some more live streams. I'm going to try to make the live streams more often. I'm going to try to do more fight companions because I know those are popular, particularly one championship. I should probably get up early tomorrow and do one for one fight nights, but I'm pretty tired. I haven't been sleeping good lately, so probably not, but I should try. You know what? Let's talk about what you should probably hope to see from the channel this year. And this is going to be ad hoc. I didn't write this down. But some plans I do have for the channel. I'm going to try to do more interviews this year. They're not going to be like a staple of the channel, just because it is so hard to schedule people. And because I work full-time jobs. So it's hard to work around people's schedules all the time. And also because I want to avoid getting too close to too many fighters. I like being able to keep my my neutrality for the most part. I will try to sponsor some more fighters though, just because I like helping the fighters out. And that kind of breaks that neutrality a bit, but I think it is for a good cause. So not sure who I'll sponsor next or when, but it's definitely on my mind. What else? Live streams. Like I said, I'm going to try to stream more regularly. That's the thing. I got to get regular, because that definitely helps. That regularity and that consistency, that definitely helps things. Got to make the show weekly again. That's That's the goal. I got to be more consistent and get on it. It gets away from you, and it's easy to let it keep getting away from you, though. What else? Oh, shorts videos. I don't know what people's opinions are on the YouTube shorts, but as far as the shorts videos are going to go, I'm going to use them in two ways. One is going to be news that I want to get out there, like fight announcements, but I may not necessarily want to cover in a longer video. So that's going to be one category. The other category is going to be, I'm going to use them as like news topics mostly to drive to a longer video. So like I might use the shorts for videos that I don't want to break down and go more into the topic, but I'm also going to have shorts where I'm going to use those to drive towards a longer video. So like if I make a fight announcement and then I make a longer video on that fight later that day, maybe I'll put a link in the short. But yeah, like Easy E says, he likes the shorts. They're good for quick news. They are. I can bang out a short as easy. Little notes. You know, that was weird. And then I record the video. It can only be up to 60 seconds, so I try to keep them less than a minute. I edit them. That takes a couple minutes. And then boom, upload. So you could actually bang one out in about 5 to 10 minutes. And they're super easy. Whereas like most videos take half hour or more. Fight reviews are the longest. They take about an hour from start to finish, easily. So we'll keep up the shorts. I should try to do more with fight results because those get a lot of views. Got to be careful though. Like UFC, finishes from the UFC, not going anywhere near them. I'm still waiting on a copyright strike to expire. So that's it for shorts. Other than that, yeah, most things are going to stay the same, you know. Fight reviews are going to be sporadic because time. I'm going to try to do more of them though. But it's just overall going to try to pick up the activity again. Like, I got my fire back. I had a flu, and then I just malaise set in. So that's why I wasn't as active for a little bit, like December, and then like early last month. So got the fire back. I feel good after doing the 2.5 hour stream. So that's it for tonight. 5K subscribers, thank you. Still, hit that thumbs up. If you're watching and you haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? This is WMMA Scene Now, the best, most complete, fastest growing women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thank you to everyone for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next time.